Record better audio anywhere with Motive digital microphones from Shure. Easy-to-use options like the MV88 plug directly into your phone or computer and include a free app. Create studio-quality sound for podcasts, music, and videos. Visit Shure.com to learn more.
In spite of our mechanical magnificence.
Up in the sky! Look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
Todd Vandenberg.
They're with him under the hat.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
And Rob Steele.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain!
As you can imagine, they don't let us out much.
All my filth is in alphabetical order. This, for example, was under H for toy.
Movie reviews.
So you're here to save the world.
Movie news.
Dad! Tom Cruise won't come out of the closet.
And the occasional rumor or TV news.
I object to all this sex on the television. I keep falling off.
Oh, that's not right.
God, I love my work.
And to make a long story short, one by one you all arrived.
And better than ever? Oh, no, wait, that's somebody else's introduction. Never mind, forget I said it.
No, you can't say that.
Probably copyright and trademarked and all that good stuff.
And the big one will hit
though.
you. We are back indeed. We survived the storms. You probably had worse storms than I did.
Well, I don't know. You're in Florida. What happened to you?
We were lucky. We're far enough south. We had winds like 40, 50 mile an hour. We had probably 10 hours of rain. But, I mean, where I'm at, we actually got quite lucky. And the further north you got, the less lucky you got. So, yeah, up there in Augusta, you guys maybe had more rain than I did. But luckily.
No.
Oh, good. Excellent.
No, I mean, I was looking forward to it because we haven't had rain here in weeks. And I was like, okay, if it takes a hurricane, fine, we'll get rain. I went to bed. It was cloudy. I woke up. It was damp. And that's it.
Rob, I think there are certain places you can go for incontinence problems if you wake up and it's damp.
That had nothing to do with it. It was... I was looking forward to a nice rain, a good thunder shower, because I didn't get any of those this summer. I like thunderstorms with the electronic devices turned off so they don't explode. And, yeah, nothing. My yard is prematurely yellow. Oh, darn.
Yeah, well.
What a shame.
Could be neighborhood dogs. You never thought about that, did you?
I'm pretty sure that poodle can't pee that much.
I don't know.
Unless it's just in my yard. I don't know. Really, really weird thing. So, movies? Or are we just
we should talk about whatever you want to talk about other than the weather, because this is not a weather show.
No. Although, it could be said that it was raining bodies in a few movies. I came across a survey that I don't... You like my segue? 2 wheels, lots of gyroscopes?
Nice.
The Guardian in the United Kingdom conducted a study of the best performing Hollywood films since 1940 to come out, and it concludes that the Disney movie / Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, racked up an estimated 83,000 deaths, which is the highest death total of any movie. And I disagree with that.
I totally disagree with that.
I mean, there's a lot of deaths in the movie. Mainly
Star
Nova
Wars
Corps people.
4, A New Hope. How many people died in that?
Well, I'm thinking Star Wars 7. They blew up 5 planets with one shot.
There you go. That's right. That fact glossed right through my head because the movie's kind of like, eh. But yeah, they're very sparsely populated.
Star Wars movies with Death Stars in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's more people.
I would think so.
And really, what counts is on-screen deaths. That's really what should matter, is when you actually see the bullets fly. You know, just whole planets blowing up. I mean, seriously, it really doesn't have a big emotional impact. It should, but it doesn't because it's so out there.
You mentioned bullets flying. Only 3 of these have actual bullets in them. And Avengers, you don't really think of the Avengers as having bullets. And the other one being Guardians of the Galaxy. Other than that, Matrix Revolutions is the only one that had bullets.
Is The Outlaw Josie Wales on the list? Just
no.
Did you? See, there's like at least 127 deaths in that.
Well, the bottom of this list, they say the Avengers.
bodies.
Coming in at number 10 is the Avengers with 1,019 deaths. Which makes you wonder, where did you get that number from? You know?
Mm-hmm. That's an odd projection. Not disputing it, but nobody thinks of those movies as violent because you don't really see the on-screen violence because it's not on screen. So it's interesting, but it's also kind of
yeah. See, that's one of the things I'm getting with There's a lot of news this week. like this one, coming from your new favorite TV show, Luke Cage.
Yes. Which,
unfortunately, my kids have not left me alone long enough to watch any of yet.
Those miserable children.
I know. There was a report out of Netflix that when Luke Cage hit, Netflix crashed because too many people were trying to watch it.
Indeed, it did.
Leading to my two favorite tweets from the week. One from @LukeCage. Netflix fixing their servers right now. And @Jessica Jones had nothing to do with the outage. Stop asking. I thought, that's fairly brilliant of Marvel to do something like that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It did delay my Luke Cage fest because I couldn't watch Luke Cage for about 4 hours, and I was very sad.
I do have I've heard the soundtrack is really good in the series, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Now, one thing they said they wanted to do with this movie was that there's a swear jar somewhere.
Yes, there is.
In the movie.
Yes, there is.
Or I'm sorry, in the series. And they said the reason they put that in was because they were trying to get Prince to do a cameo at least in the series. Now, the theory is that Prince, before he died, of course, had a swear jar. Mm-hmm. And this is where it gets weird for me because Prince is a Jehovah's Witness.
Correct.
Really? Because that confuses the crap out of me because every time I hear the words, Prince is coming out with a new album, my first thought is the conservatives are about to wet themselves, become damp, because he's going to release a song like, "Oh, baby, I'm tired tonight. Let's only do 106 positions." Only not as politely phrased. We don't have a swear jar, so I can't tell you exactly how he usually phrases those song titles.
Rob, we don't need a swear jar.
Yeah, I know.
He was indeed. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. You're not running for president, so go ahead. Yeah, that's odd. And I had read the same thing that was an idea. Just I doubt that was some contractual part that's like, well, Prince wants this to happen, otherwise we won't do it. But just kind of an extra lure is like, hey, we're kind of throwing this in for you. But it actually works well. It fits the character. It does lend itself to this series because it's not part of Luke Cage's character. It's a different character, but it's just one of those little pieces that helps flesh everybody out, which is one of the things I think Marvel does so well on those Netflix series. Those are fully realized characters, and they're all really
it's nice
well
to have developed characters.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I'm going to get to some undeveloped characters in a minute.
Yeah.
But I want to stick with the Marvel TV stuff because there's two other big news that come out of the New York Comic Con. The first one being Iron Fist has a date now.
Right.
March 17th, which is spectacular news because that just means they're keeping up with the every 6 months a series comes out thing.
Right.
So, frankly, that to me is not big news. There is a trailer for it now, and it looks pretty good.
Yes, it does. It does look pretty good.
So,
although, to be honest, I was not. A lot of the reviews on trailers now, which is crazy, but a lot of the buzz about it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at this action, and I'm thinking, the action. I mean, it's good, but it didn't blow me away. I mean, this is the martial artist of the group, and frankly, Daredevil kicks ass just as well as Iron Fist does in this. So they're going to have to really up it as the series goes along, and I'm sure they will. But and again, I'm not complaining, but it just wasn't. I mean, if you've seen the Daredevil series, I mean, you know how good the fight sequences are and how well staged they are. I mean, you practically better get the most recent embodiment of Bruce Lee or Jet Li to play this character, because the action needs to be over the top. I mean, this is the martial artist, Shang-Chi,
it's Marvel,
notwithstanding, of Marvel, right? So they've got to really move it up. But like, I wasn't disappointed. It just needs to really keep going.
I'm hoping it's going to be one of those things where they actually have better stuff in the movie than in the trailer. You know,
well, so far
we have been getting the opposite of late.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So far, Marvel, the Netflix series, do live up to that, though. The trailers just give you a taste, and they have not shown the best parts in the trailers. I mean, as good as the trailers for Luke Cage were, is like they didn't even scratch the surface on some of the scenes in that show. So hopefully Iron Fist, and there's no reason to think Iron Fist won't be the same.
Now, the Marvel TV series are all going to be grouped together eventually to create the Defenders.
The Defenders.
And there's some big Defenders news out of the New York Comic Con. Have you heard who's playing the main bad guy?
I have. And I'm really happy about that.
Are you as confused as I am?
No, I'm not confused. I'm curious as to who this person is playing. Really
exactly. Let's let everybody in on it. Sigourney Weaver is playing the big bad of this series. And I kind of went into this a bit much because I got really curious. So, and I'm not as familiar with the Defenders as I am with the X-Men or the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And so I looked up a lot of Defenders bad guys. And I came up with 5 potentials. Although I think 3 of them wouldn't really work. Because in the comics, Doctor Strange led the Defenders. And while there is a Doctor Strange movie coming, it's not going to be related to the Defenders.
Right.
So I'm thinking that probably is going to leave out characters like Dormammu, who at no point they ever said was Dormammu male. Dormammu could be female. You want to throw a gender switch thing in here, there's where you can do it.
Yep.
Lorelei was another big villain. Again, what is it? The Enchantress's sister. The Enchantress is in the upcoming Thor movie. Maybe. Doubting it. Umar, which is Dormammu's sister. Again, they're not bringing in the magical stuff yet until Doctor Strange, so I'm doubting that. One character that I would love to see just for sponsoring purposes, and I looked this up, this really is a character, Ruby Thursday. And now we can have it sponsored by Ruby Tuesday. No, it's not Ruby Thursday. Ruby Thursday is a bad guy. They don't prepare their food near as well as we do. Come to Ruby Tuesday. See? Sponsor deal. But I'm thinking, do you think she would work as Moondragon, if you remember the character?
Yeah. No, I remember the character. Yeah, no, I remember the character. I'm just thinking if she would work 20 years ago, she would work easily. Right. Now I'm not so sure, but, it could be a somewhat older Moondragon. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities out there for her to play. And I'm just really happy that they got a really solid actor yet again, to pop up in the Defenders. And hopefully her character does not befall the fate that happens to a lot of the Marvel Netflix villains. Some of them don't make it for an entire series. I'll just say that. Some do. Some do. So Mr. D'Onofrio will be around, so that's a major plus. So
let's see, some of the other things. Well, I wish this didn't make it. Actually, the scene I'm about to mention didn't. X-Men Alpaca Lips came out this week on DVD.
Yes.
Oh, boy. It contained a deleted scene where Cyclops receives his first visor. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go see any of the other X-Men movies. It'll make sense. But The only thing I liked about this were 2 comments in the comments section of the website I got this from. First comment, yeah, how dare they put comic book elements in a comic book movie? What's next? Superpowers? Followed immediately by, I know, if that bit had made the cut, I'd have spent the rest of the movie's runtime looking for actual elements from the comics.
You wrote those, didn't you, Rob? Admit it. You wrote both of those.
Other people know that the X-Men movies are utter crap and have very little to do with the comics themselves.
They don't.
No.
I've read that there's one of the deleted scenes, and I've not seen the deleted scene sequence package, and I'm probably not going to, because that would mean I'd probably have to watch the movie again. But apparently there's a scene where they're in the mall, and Jubilee is there, and Jubilee uses her powers, and it's like, oh, how cool! One of the absolute best cinematic powers they could possibly happen, and that landed on the cutting room floor. It's like, why would we show the sparkly girl? You know, I was like, well, man,
I
made some
hate
really
to do
odd
this,
decisions.
but I have seen that scene.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
and?
It was online. You're leaving out the part where Nightcrawler breakdances.
I forgot that Nightcrawler breakdances. Does he go bamf in the middle of it?
I'm sorry, what?
Does he go bamf in the middle of it?
No, that would make more sense. But apparently he does spin on his tail at some point in a scene they never finished.
Oh,
so they
God.
just had the people looking at him with a green screen element in the middle that says Nightcrawler spinning on tail. I'm like, no, that's not good.
That's quite lovely. Well, at least they thought better of that one. Didn't even finish it.
Moving away from Marvel, because we need to at this point. The new Batman film has a name.
It does. I'm shocked at the
name. Have you heard
this?
It's a shocking name.
It is a shocking name indeed. Who would have thought?
I wasn't expecting. It's so original. I never would have guessed it. It's called The Batman.
But to be honest, I like it. I mean, it is an old school throwback. I mean, that's how
works,
the character was referred
to. It kind of works, but come on, you can do better than that. Give it a subtitle of some kind.
And it's early. It's so early. And they might, but I do like it as a title. I'm curious to see how it goes, because actually I thought Batfleck was quite good in the debacle that came out. I mean, there was a ton of grief about, oh my God, he's going to be terrible. It's like, the guy's a good actor. It's like the Daredevil film was not his fault.
No.
No. Does anybody hate Liam Neeson for the ostensible first Star Wars film? Of course not.
No, it's not. It's a script thing.
We go see Taken 17 and whichever hostage film he wants to make next.
They're making a TV series out of Taken.
I know.
I don't know why. No. I'm not getting sidetracked. There's more Batman news. Although it's not technically it's video game, but movies are headed in this direction. So I wanted to get your opinion on this. They're making a Batman Arkham Asylum video game part 106 or whatever. But
right.
They're making it for the Sony virtual reality system.
Yeah.
So it's a Batman video game where you are Batman looking through the eyes of Batman. And there's 12 minutes of footage of this online with, someone else playing it, obviously, but you'll get to see what it looks like.
Right.
Is this a good idea? Because Batman is one of those characters that someone's sneaking up behind him and he punches him anyway. You're not going to see that in a video game if you're looking at his eyes.
It seems that would be difficult to. It depends on how it's presented. I mean, if it's more of a Batman the detective thing, I can see it working, but I really doubt that they're going to do that for a VR game. Why would you?
Once it gets
not sure if that really.
I think you're right.
Work.
That would work, but for the fight scenes, no.
Right. Exactly. Because you've got to have Batman's. Well, it depends on how they implement them. I can see that. Somehow that you can sense that they would have to kind of give you Spidey sense, which Batman, of course, doesn't have. But you have to have Batman's reflexes, and since nobody does, they have to somehow build that into the game so that you're aware of your environment much more than just some schlep who's playing a game would be. So it'd be interesting to see how they are able to parse that. They might as well try. Early things I've heard about it is just that the reaction time is pretty bad, which not exactly what you would want.
Game. Yeah.
And it's an interesting concept, though.
And just because I saw this and thought, I'm not sure if this is a desperation ploy from Sony, but they have decided to make 5 cinematic universe films based on Valiant comic titles. I don't even know if you've heard of Valiant.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't, it's basically Marvel and DC have been bouncing back and forth between 1 and 2 since 1327, I think was the year they were founded.
Roughly, yes.
And Valiant has pretty much been, I guess, number 3 forever. But they've got some pretty good titles. Harbinger and Bloodshot are the main ones they talked about. I'm wondering if X-O Man-O-War is going to be getting a title. I think he'd kind of have to.
It seems like I've heard that that's one they were looking at. And just as an aside, Marvel and DC both came out within a year of the Gutenberg Bible, so you're dead on with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, Valiant has been around for a long time, and yeah, they're obviously not one of the top imprints, but, well, they are one of the top imprints, they're just not one of the 2 top publishers. So, they're third.
There's 1 and 2 at the top, and there's a big gap before you get to number 3.
Right. But, I mean, look at it. I mean, we're making... as if we're responsible. Thank God we're not.
Right.
But studios are making movies and have been making movies based on board games, mobile video games, not even video games, but mobile video games. I mean, soon we'll have movies based on emails. So Valiant getting their shot makes perfect sense. I mean, my God, if there could be an Angry Birds movie, a battleship movie, there should be films based on Valiant characters. It just depends if they're well done or not. That's all that matters. Hopefully they are.
I've got one that's worse than those, though. But we'll get to it later.
Of course you do. And I know what it is. I can hardly wait.
Absolutely horrible ideas this week. And
it's so
not going to
fun.
be in the top of the box office. By the way, what was the top of the box office this week?
And the top of the box office this week was The Girl on the Train. Did $24 million, which is a pretty good opening.
Did she have a dragon tattoo?
She did not. She should have. She probably would have made more money. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children did another 15. It dropped about 48%, which is not a terrible drop, really. Deepwater Horizon was in third. Magnificent Seven was fourth. And Storks was fifth. Birth of a Nation, which I was planning to see today and then just got tied up with a lot of post-storm stuff. Did not get a chance to see it, but I do plan to see it tomorrow, and that came in sixth, which I think is really, that's a pretty good opening for a serious film like that. So hopefully it will do well and encourage people to make more serious films as opposed to making crap like Masterminds. So there you go.
It'll do better than Free State of Jones.
Yes, quite likely better than Free State of Jones. Oh, and Finding Dory did break the $1 billion mark total worldwide. So there's that.
I had forgotten about that one.
So it's still making money.
Kind of went, don't want to see it.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Actually, this is going to be a good opportunity for me to bring up my trivia question.
Go ahead.
And it's not really a trivia question. It's just what the hell were they thinking when they did this question? Because apparently there's a new My Little Pony movie. It's going straight to video. And my daughter asked me, Dad, when is this coming out? Because I've seen the ads and I want to get it to add it to my other 5,000 My Little Pony videos. Okay. I'll look it up. And I looked it up on a website that usually is good with movies coming out and giving dates and everything. It did not have a date for this movie. Darn.
Aww.
But here's the question that comes in, because I was looking up the My Little Pony movie, right? It said people who looked up this movie also looked up this, that, and the other. Do you want to guess what the number one thing was that other people looked up to go with My Little Pony?
Sex transformation surgery?
Nope, but that's not far off. The 1980s helicopter drama Airwolf.
How do those tie in? What the heck?
That was my question. How do you go from My Little Pony to Airwolf? Because those two things, Ernest Borgnine's not in My Little Pony.
Jan Michael Vincent, is he in it? That sounds like he plays one of the ponies.
He could be. Maybe that's what happened to him. I haven't seen him since Airwolf.
What the heck?
I don't know. I just know I got a good laugh out of it.
Wow. That's really quite odd.
Yeah.
Beyond odd. I don't understand that at all.
Had a poster for it and everything. You can click here for more Airwolf. I'm like, really? Click. It was just bizarre. Similarly bizarre news, though. That wasn't news. This is news. Came across a list of movies that are being planned. And
yes.
Oh boy. There's some stuff that I'm curious about. I'll go ahead and mention the one because you were talking about a movie about email. I'll go one further than that. It's the Emoji Movie. I'm not making this up.
Oh my gosh.
I'd like to be, but I'm not. It's a movie about emojis, and frankly, that's all I know about it at this point. But come on, I think the Lego Movie was pushing it. How are you going to make a movie out of emojis?
Do the happy emojis go to war with probably the sad emojis, and the angry emojis go to war with the happy emojis? That's my guess. And then the animal emojis will get
caught in the middle.
Oh, totally. That's
I don't get that.
Sadly, I can see how that will be constructed. It will be god awful, but I can see how they'll do it. But that's hideous. That's hideous.
Right up there. Let's see, World War Z 2. Where there's a movie poster of it, but the way they have the font, it looks like either World War 22 or World War ZZ. You have the word "top" after it.
Which
Zombies
would be awesome.
with big beards attack Brad Pitt.
Did you ever see that film? I know you're not a horror film fan, but did you ever see that?
I tried watching some of it and kind of went, I'm lost on the point.
That is one of those films that, and we've touched before on films that are based on books, and this is one of, as a standalone feature, if you like horror films, if you like action films, thrillers, zombie flicks, whatever, it's a pretty good movie. But if you have read the book, it is a god-awful piece of crap. It almost has nothing to do with the book other than it picks up a couple of sequences from it and has the title. I mean, it is a train wreck compared to that book. But what really should have happened is someone like Netflix, HBO, Amazon, whatever, they should have picked up the rights to it and done a series, because this thing, it's an episodic book. I mean, it's
right.
Based on oral histories. It's an oral history of the zombie wars. So it's very much based on like Studs Terkel's work, things like that. It's created for episodic TV. I mean, my God, you couldn't possibly have a better fit. So why they decided to make a movie of it instead of do a long form, and they could have had a 13-episode series and actually touched on most of the key points, and hopefully they could have done a terrific job. Instead, you get a so-so movie. Yeah, it made money, which is why they're making a sequel. Yeah. But I don't know anybody who's read the book who remotely likes that movie.
The only thing I can think of as for why they wouldn't have done it as a TV series, had The Walking Dead come out yet?
True. But there's probably, because The Walking Dead had already come out, there are probably 5 or 6 zombie series on. I mean, they're on lesser services, but it's all over the place. I mean, and potentially, and as crazy as it sounds, but I'm a huge fan of Walking Dead. This could have been better than Walking Dead.
I certainly would have. I've heard of it before, so
it's astonishing to me that they didn't go that route, and they can still go that route, even if they're doing a sequel to the movie, because the sequel still won't have anything to do with the damn book. No reason it should. So, and it's sad because I thought Brad Pitt did a terrific job in that movie. To me, he did not mail it in and just blow it off as like a zombie movie, whatever. Who cares? I thought he was really, really good in the movie, but it was not the book remotely. So it's a shame they called it World. Again, as we've said, all they did was, hey, we got a built-in property. People have heard of this title. Let's call it this. And that's about how much relationship it had to it. It's closer to the book than the X-Men movies are to the comics, though. I'll give you that.
Well, that's a start, I suppose. How about? Did you ever read the Red books? I know those were a DC comic.
No, I never read those.
I didn't either. Although I have to admit, I enjoyed the crap out of the first Red movie.
Yeah.
With Bruce Willis and Morgan Freeman
right.
and everybody. I thought that.
It's a great concept.
It was a fun movie. But Red 2, not so much. And
unfortunately,
the reason I bring those up is because in the oven right now is Red 3.
Ugh.
I would have been happy if they just did the 1 and let it go, and moved on to something else.
Right. Which, as you say, happens all too often. That's I'm assuming Red 2 made money, and that's the only reason. I mean, that's the only reason they ever do this stuff is that's why we wound up with Jaws 4: The Revenge, sadly, because Jaws 3 was a crappy movie, but it made money. So, hey, why not?
That's why I figure we're ending up with We're the Millers 2.
God.
I found out that's in production this week.
Oh, we're so lucky.
And I'm not condoning terrorist activity, but somebody please stop them.
You are condoning it.
Oh, damn it. Didn't mean to. Oh, wait, swear jar. Where's the swear jar? That just seems like a horrific idea. Because the first one was stupid enough, I thought. Having watched the trailers and said, no, I'm not going to watch that.
That's as far as I got. And that's as far as I'll ever get. I don't care if it's on at 3 o'clock in the morning and I can't sleep. I'm turning the channel. It just looked awful.
2 other movies on this list. Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Oh.
Now, the only reason I'm actually mentioning this one, because there was actually like 50 movies on this list of don't make these, like Transformers 8000 or whatever they're on now, and 50 Shades Darker. You know what? Those are fine. Go ahead and make those. Beverly Hills Cop 4 had a comment that goes with it that threw me off a bit. It said, well, they're making a 4th one. Maybe they'll have a good sequel someday. I liked Beverly Hills Cop 2. 3 did not need to happen, but I thought 2 was really good. Or is that just me?
No, it was good. I mean, again, it follows the pattern all too often where you see the quality just kind of drops off as you go along. But who is there a cast? Or
not that I
is
know
this too
of.
early?
To my knowledge, it's too early. I have not heard otherwise. The other one on the list, I got to throw in a kids movie, just on the title. It's
Blair
the
Witch?
sequel to what?
It's a Blair Witch.
Actually, Blair Witch 3 was on the list.
I know. What is this kids movie? We'll get back to Blair Witch.
Okay. Romeo and Juliet 2.
Really?
Sherlock Gnomes.
Oh.
It's a kiddie mystery movie. Please don't. Meanwhile, back at Blair Witch 3.
There's some bad movies. Well, I mean, look at Romeo and Juliet and see what the idea is here. There's no word on what the production was, so let me guess, 110. Made 193 million worldwide, so there you go. That's why they're doing Romeo and Juliet 2.
Yep.
Blair Witch, same answer. It's making money. It's not making a ton. I mean, it's made $20 million so far. Worldwide, it's $35. It cost $5 million. It cost them pocket change in Hollywood terms to make.
Really?
That's why
I
they're
thought it
making
was
another one. It's making that. It's making. That's even if you double the production budget. So figure it's $10 million. That's $25 million in the clear. That's easy money, which is why we're getting the Blair Witch 3. So
they win. Which
technically is really the fourth Blair Witch movie because they did that. The first sequel, Blair Witch, the Book of Witches or Book of Crap or whatever it was, which was absolutely awful. It was
Spells?
Book of bullshit, something. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, there you go.
Book of low box office. Something that never needs to be seen again or even thought of. Book of
Shadows. Blair Witch 2. See?
Yeah. Anyway,
there was a book involved.
There was a book involved, and we're all very sorry that it ever happened. So, but that's interesting. The difference that brought in $47 million, which is good. It made money, and it still took them 16 years to come back with another one, almost. Yeah, 16 years. But the Blair Witch Project.
It took them not long to find any more VHS tapes to put in the cameras.
Here's how you make a movie, the Blair Witch Project, and I don't know if you ever saw it, and we'll ask for your opinion if you ever did see it. But this is how you make money in Hollywood. It costs $60,000. $60,000. I mean, you can buy a car and spend more money than that easily, and it made $248 million worldwide. That's how you make a profit in movies. Holy crap.
Ching,
so
you win.
No surprise that they rushed right out and had a sequel the following year, which pretty much killed the series because it was so poorly received that it took them 16 years to make another sequel. So,
right.
Crazy. Did you ever see the Blair Witch Project?
I saw the Scooby-Doo version, which was played as a series of shorts on Cartoon Network during a Scooby-Doo marathon that my children watched.
And were you
horrified?
Saying,
Dad, what is all this? I'm like, I think it's a version of the Blair Witch Project.
Did these stick dolls scare you? Did Scooby have to stand in the corner at the end?
Shaggy did.
Oh, that's awesome that Shaggy did. That's cool. Shaggy
I'll see if I can find that on YouTube and send you a link or something. They actually didn't do too bad a job of it.
I hope Shaggy never comes out of the corner. Oh my God, I hate that show.
No.
Anyway,
I liked Scooby-Doo until the invention of Scrappy, and then
it went off the rails for me before that. But that was absolutely the death knell. Scrappy-Doo.
Speaking of death knells, should I get to our future train wreck section?
Sure, we like future train wrecks.
I've got to make a sound effect for this. Only I'm sure someone would get offended by the sound of a train derailing. I'm going to kick it off with M. Night Shaka-Khan.
Yes.
This is just an absolutely horrific idea. He's moving away from making movies. He's going to be making an animated comedy series for 20th Century Fox Television. You want to guess the title of it? Go ahead.
I have a shitty TV show coming out.
That's not too far off. It's called 11 Little Indians. Because Fox is a channel that likes Donald Trump and is anyway. It's supposed to follow the dream of a large Indian family that moves to America, and some of them have happy things happen and some of them don't. Because this sounds like a good idea to who? But it's not the worst TV idea of the week. Isn't that scary? NBC had announced they were going to do a what was it called? A sitcom called Mail Order Family. And they decided that let's see, how is it phrased? maybe turning a human trafficking situation into a situational comedy wasn't the best of ideas, so they've canceled it.
Oh, seriously?
I'm not kidding. This was a thing.
A human trafficking comedy.
Human trafficking comedy. They canceled it, though, and have replaced it. Sorry, I'm trying to keep a straight face for this. Replaced it with Queer Ghost Hunters in Ohio. Up with the LGBTQ community in ghost hunting.
I see they're staying with their high concept plan there. Oh my God.
You know,
wow.
I wrote some books that you guys can turn into TV series that are anywhere near as stupid as this. But damn, come on. Really? And this leads into what the CW network is planning. And guess which series they're rebooting? You ready? Dynasty, because that's going to work in today's society.
But Dynasty with teenagers.
I came up with an idea on how to make it work. Okay. Let's do some gender swapping in Dynasty. So Fallon and Blake Carrington are going to be played by Owen and what's the other Wilson brothers' name?
Luke.
Yeah, Owen and Luke Wilson as Fallon and Blake Carrington on Dynasty. I think that'll work.
By the way,
don't you?
I'm not proud that I know that's Luke Wilson, by the way, but Russell Wilson I would prefer.
Russell Wilson, see, that'll work just as well. Make them triplets this time.
Yeah, are they going to make them teenagers? Because that would work well for the CW as well.
Honestly, I
wouldn't be a bit surprised if that's not what they go for, because I expected you to say 90210, which would be the second reboot, the third version of it, but
close.
Wow, close enough. Yeah, wow, that's kind of evil.
And actually, I think I'll throw this into the. They're making another live-action Disney movie based on one of their animated features.
They're making all of them, I think, at this point, aren't they? My gosh.
Yeah, this time they're making Mulan.
Interesting.
My guess for the casting. Now, this is just going off the Ghost in the Shell theorizing that you can't put Asian people on a big screen, which is crap. Of course you can. It makes sense. But for the live-action version of Mulan, my guesses are Grandmother Fa will be played by John Travolta. Fa Zhu will be played by Benedict Cumberbatch. And in the lead role of Mulan, Miley Cyrus.
Keep
in mind, my
probably dead on.
Dynasty and Mulan are both made up. They're not real. At least I hope they're not. If they are, I apologize sincerely.
I think you are dead on with that. I think you are dead on with that. That's exactly what's going to happen. Wow. Which is sad. Which is sad that that's probably how things are going to roll with that. And it could certainly be a good live-action film. I mean, there have been live-action versions of it. There's at least one prior to Disney's version. I mean, because it's a well-known story.
It's an actual story.
In Chinese culture. This isn't based on true things happening. That's one that doesn't bother me. But you're right. The casting wouldn't be a bit surprised to have them do some variation of what you said. Although John Travolta, that would be so awesome as the grandmother. That one I think they could do a good job with, because it's not highly dependent on CGI like The Jungle Book was, in which that threw me off for that movie. Again, one of the few people who was thrown off on that when you look at the box office, but and the reviews in general were really good too. Great reviews, really. Mulan, I think that's okay. I'm cool with that.
I don't mind them making it. I just like them to do it right.
Yeah, exactly. And so far, they don't really have, Jungle Book notwithstanding, they don't exactly have a great track record.
The off-the-track record.
Yeah, I mean, how many times? Remember when Pan came out? Hardly.
Yeah.
It's like it's.
I remember it did come out, but I don't remember exactly when, and I know I didn't see it.
The Lion King is the one that really has me puzzled. How exactly do you do a live-action Lion King?
It'd have to be CG. There just isn't another way of doing it.
Unless they basically do film the play, which I can't imagine them doing. That would be a bold move, and it would be cool if they did that, but I really can't imagine them doing that. I can't see that happening. That would be a cool experiment, and they can afford the loss, but I'm afraid they would take a huge bath if they tried that.
I'm trying to think of the last time we saw something that was a play and then they turned it into a movie. And I can't think of one that actually did really well.
You know, I mean, it can work. I'm blanking out. Well, not Into the Woods, but I mean that worked fairly well. I thought that was a pretty good film. Oh, Sweeney Todd. And I'm not really thinking of the Johnny Depp version.
Straight filming of the play, they added stuff though.
Right. Well, I'm actually thinking of the one that they just really filmed the play performances. One with Angela Lansbury. I mean, that's 10 times better than the Johnny Depp version that they did, which inexplicably left out the theme of Sweeney Todd, which is that's
now
one of the most puzzling decisions.
I didn't know Angela Lansbury did that.
Yeah, I almost said she's Mrs. Potts. She is Mrs. Potts.
Well, that too.
Yeah, Len Cariou and Angela Lansbury, and it's just a filmed version of the play. I think it's still available on Amazon. I mean, only like as a DVD, not even a Blu-ray. That's how old the damn thing is. But that thing is terrific. It's awesome. But yeah, it's pretty rare where you'll see filmed versions of plays. But 12 Angry Men.
Let me.
Play, so it can work.
Let me adjust the way I phrased it. There are times when they've taken plays and turned them into movies, but it's not just a filming of the stage production.
Right.
It's adding extra stuff to it. One of my favorite plays was A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which if you haven't seen it, honestly, get the DVD. It works.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's a great movie. It turned out
marvelously, I thought.
Yeah. But they did open it up. They did open it up.
Still funny as hell.
But of course, The Lion King has special problems. None of the characters are human. That's the difference. So that's what makes it more interesting. That would be tough.
Exactly. There's got to be issues coming up with that, and seriously, other than the CG thing, I can't see it working.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to go, Daddy, that's a guy in a costume. Well, yeah. They did better on Face Off making costumes than that. Well, okay, they did that too.
And if it's CGI, then it's not live action. So what's the point? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they do. It really will be interesting to see what they do with that.
Does that have a release date yet?
Not that I've seen, which doesn't mean anything. It could be coming out tomorrow, and I just haven't noticed that. But while Rob researches, I will talk. So, how are you?
Yes, go ahead.
Did you survive the storm? I survived the storm well. I had a couple beers, hung it at my brother's house. It was a fine time. Hopefully, you survived the storm as well too. And we did touch on the storm earlier.
Thank you for listening.
It's a movie show, and and not to make light of it, because a lot of people had a really tough time, and of course in Haiti it was an absolute disaster. So. Very difficult time for a lot of people. So not making light of the situation. It's just I'm lucky that it came out fine for really most of Florida. But again, the further north you got, the worse it was. So as far as movies goes, I am looking forward to, like I said, to seeing Birth of a Nation. Won't be any people running around in pointy hats with holes cut out, so that'll be nice. And actually, I totally forgot. I don't know how I forgot, but Shin Godzilla is the most recent actual Toho film release of Godzilla, and it has a 1-week release window in North America, and it's this week, and it is subtitled in English, so we can follow along with the plot. They didn't even bother dubbing it, which I think that's pretty cool. So I'm going to see that Tuesday night, so I'm really looking forward to that. Reviews on it are mixed. Some reviews say it's too talky. A lot of talking heads, people talking about, how do we deal with this? Not enough Godzilla. But honestly, unless you go with the really cheap rubber suit version of Godzilla that was popular in the 60s, early 70s, there's not a lot of Godzilla in any Godzilla movies because it's expensive. So that's why there's not as much Godzilla in Godzilla, which I'm fine with it because it's more about the atmosphere. And then when it shows up, it's like, cool. So I'm going to check that out Tuesday evening, and I will speak on it next week. But again, if you are in an area, and it's being released in, I think, over 400 theaters, which is pretty cool. Actually, it's in Knoxville. Lee, go see Shin Godzilla. He won't. In Augusta, I'm not sure, but like I said, over 400 theaters are showing it, which is pretty good for a Japanese monster film in Japanese. So not too shabby. So I'm driving up to Melbourne to watch the film Tuesday night. So I'll give you a full report on Shin Godzilla.
Looking forward to it because I've seen trailers and it actually looks like it. I think it looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, they take it seriously, and it's a metaphor usually for their serious versions for nuclear war, for international hostilities, and that's certainly what this one is about, among other things. Plus a big monster running through and destroying shit. So, and that's always fun too. I mean, what kid hasn't pretended to be Godzilla and knocked over their Lego town when they were 6 years old? I mean, we've all done it. So.
And then you step on the Legos and you cut your foot open and realize it's probably not a good idea to do that anymore. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. pretty awesome. Any word on the review, the release for Lion King, or are they just like sometime in the future?
It only talks about Beauty and the Beast, which is coming out next year, starring Hermione.
Hermione Gingold, one of my favorite actresses ever.
Yeah. And it doesn't have a...
It's just coming.
I keep getting the last name confused because there were like 18 Emmas that came out at the same time. And if you mention...
Emma Watson.
Yeah. Okay.
Emma Watson.
Is it? Okay.
It's not Emma Stone. It's not Emma Peregrine, but there isn't an Emma Peregrine, but that would be cool. That would be an awesome name for an actress. Emma
Doesn't
Peregrine.
She have a home for dysfunctional children or whatever children?
Yes, she does. She does. And again, Ava Green. Why do you put Ava Green in a kids movie? It's like, come on. Oh well, to make the dads go, I suppose. But
well, she's supposed to be creepy and everything, but
she's supposed to be creepy. I don't know. I may go see it. It depends. I mean, I know the reviews aren't particularly great, but we'll see.
My daughter won't let me go.
No, Daddy. Bad movie.
I read the book and they did it wrong. I can tell from the trailer. You're not going. Yes, dear.
That is so funny. By the way, a kids movie, which apparently has decent reviews. Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life. It looks like it might be a fun flick for the kiddies. You know, just one of these, hey, let's make a fun kind of blah-blah movie. And that just came out this weekend as well. So better to see that than Suicide Squad for the kids. Just saying.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Or Sausage Party, also a good kids movie. It's animated. Should be on a double bill with Deadpool. It's perfect. Comic book, animation. There you go.
Yeah, kids because those go together. Please don't do that. I know there are people who have taken their kids to that movie and they're watching it going, what? This is supposed to be animated. It's supposed to be a kids movie. What's wrong with it? There's too much sex in this movie.
Yeah, Department of Children's Services will be visiting you if you take your kids to either of those films, or they should, because you're clueless.
Because damn, yeah.
Do not do that. Well, it is surprising when you go to an R-rated movie and people with their little kids. And I get it; it's hard to get sitters and all the rest, but man, gotta wonder sometimes.
I took my daughter to a PG-13 movie once, but she was several months old and slept through it.
Well, that's probably a little different.
That doesn't count.
A little bit different. Yeah, she probably was not affected by it. Oh, here's a movie called The Greasy Strangler. I'm serious.
Oh, dear. Really?
The Greasy Strangler? What?
Who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know, but I want to see it. Who wouldn't want to see that movie?
The Greasy... Okay, fine. I'm looking it up. Greasy Strangler.
Not too late.
It's going to be like that movie they showed in on that billboard in, where was it? There was one of those digital billboards. It was in another country, but it got hacked, and they showed porn on it for 5 minutes and brought all traffic to its standstill. Jakarta. There we go. The first thing I see, the Greasy Strangler. Critics' consensus, the Greasy Strangler definitely isn't for everyone. No.
Interesting. Says this movie has enough explicit sex, full frontal geriatric nudity and violence to give John Waters pause. I'm in. If John Waters would be afraid to see it. Wow.
You know what? I think I'll let you do the review for that one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. That one's all you. I'm gonna. Hey, look, the Inferno, the new Tom Hanks movie, is coming out at the end of the month.
Oh, the latest in the Dan Brown religious thriller pantheon.
I enjoyed the books, I enjoyed the movies, and I'm fully aware that they're both fictional.
They're not. They're true. They're so true. There really is a huge conspiracy. You just don't know it. Yeah, I like.
Do you know how much trouble I got in by smearing lipstick all over the Mona Lisa? There's no conspiracy. Even if it was the clear kind, they just said, no, we don't like that, and there's no secret message. Actually, I want to throw this out because my wife actually did go see the Mona Lisa when we lived in Europe.
Really? Cool.
And do you know how big this thing is?
It's tiny.
It's tiny.
It's not a postage stamp, but it is pretty damn small. What is it, like
handheld, like the size of like a paperback book.
Yeah, it's teeny.
With as much crap as made out of this painting, you'd think it'd be, we had to build a new wing of the museum just to fit it in. No. Here, I got it in my pocket. Hang on a minute.
Oh, well, they did, but it's really small.
Very, very strange.
Well, it's, you know what they say. Size doesn't matter.
Ooh, speaking of strange, that's the first movie that's coming out next month, the Doctor Strange movie. Are you looking forward to it? I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. Doctor Strange was one of my favorite characters as a kid because it was just so different. It wasn't about superpowers. It was about magic. And obviously, the artist was absolutely on drugs when he did those panels. I mean, he wasn't, but he could have been. But, oh, my God. And supposedly, they worked really, really hard to capture that look. So it's
if the trailers are any indication, I think they've done good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that cast, again, the cast is phenomenal. So how could you not be, if you are remotely interested in quote-unquote comic book films, sci-fi, fantasy, blah, 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 any of that, you should really be looking forward to this. I mean, there's potentially this could be their best. Yeah, Steve Ditko. I blanked out on the artist's name, but it would be nice if they are able to capture
Benedict Cumberbatch?
some of that. So, yeah, but Mads Mikkelsen as one of the potential villains. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
pretty solid cast. So should be really, really good stuff. And it's a really interesting story too about this egotistical bastard, because that's who he is initially.
Yeah.
He's the not prototypical, he's a parody of the surgeon, who thinks he's God because he's got these magical talents. Well, not literally, but in his case, it turns out to be.
Not yet. Wait for the film to get started.
That's what they say. Surgeons have this God complex, and he does, and then he loses that ability. And spoiler alert, he can't use his hands anymore. In case you haven't kept up with the comics in the past 70 years. So sorry, okay, 50 odd years. But it should be really good because we know he can play. Yeah. We know he plays a bastard well. We've seen him do that. And it'll be interesting to see the character arc, how he changes. I'm looking forward to that, honestly, about as much as all of it. Because it's, again, like we've said, what drives movies, what makes them good is the character arc. And if there's no character arc, then it's kind of boring. So I think this will be a heck of a good movie because at least one other character in this film should have some pretty interesting character development going on too. I'll just leave it at that. So should be top stuff. Really looking forward to that. Oh, and Benjamin Bratt's in it too. Cool.
Yeah.
From the Law and Order days.
Good concepts. And if this is a typical Marvel movie, good follow through. Thank God Fox didn't get a hold of it.
Seriously. Very true.
Yeah. And I think I have now officially run out of stuff to talk about. How about you?
Well, that's excellent. I have too. I think we're ready to wrap.
Timing.
We're ready to wrap, ready to rock.
Sounds good.
Anyway, I am glad that all 5 people listen to our show. Well, maybe not 5, but, eventually probably 5 people will listen.
4.5.
So we hope that you will tune in at some point. If you're listening now, we hope that you'll tune in later and listen again. That makes absolutely no sense. But catch us next Sunday at 6, tentatively. That's when we'll be on again. And we will talk about more movies and more comics and more really stupid crap that studios decide to do, like the My Little Pony movies. And with that, a last thought, sir?
No, I don't have any. Completely blank now.
In that case, fare thee well, sir. Everyone else, good night.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Record better audio anywhere with Motive Digital Microphones from Shure. Easy-to-use options like the MV88 plug directly into your phone or computer and include a free app. Create studio-quality sound for podcasts, music, and videos. Visit Shure.com to learn more.